Let's get ready to rumble!
Tommy Fury, brother of Tyson Fury, has pulled out of his Misfits fight with Darren Till, a former UFC fighter, because Till threatened to resort to MMA tactics, kicking in the latter stages if the fight weren't going his way. And Tommy's pulled out. It was a stupid thing for Darren Till to say. And as much as I want to tear Tommy a new one and tell him that he's soft and all that, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I think Tommy's doing the right thing. This is boxing. You don't bring MMA talk into boxing. And I guess if I was to point out one of the issues in these MMA guys talking about crossover, if you've been doing MMA for how many years, you'll never fully adopt the boxer mindset. Why are you talking about using MMA tactics? Epic fail, Darren Till. Epic fail. Now, I've already took Tommy's side. Part of me does believe it's a convenient excuse to get out of the fight. I don't think Tommy likes fighting like that. I don't think he liked the way that Darren Till tore into his old man. Tommy respects his dad, but it's kind of a fearful respect. And if he see another man talking to his dad like that, it could go two ways. He wants to get back for what he said to his old man, or he's going to be thinking, yo, I've never seen nobody take it to my dad like that. And Tommy respects his dad, but there's a kind of fear type respect to it. I'm not sure about his body language after Darren Till stuck it to his old man. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he wanted it after that. And I think he's only too glad to blow this fight off.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one
Can do it better.
Lawrence Okolie is different from previous cruiserweight champions who have moved up to heavyweight, like Evander Holyfield, David Haye, Alexander Usyk, etc. None of them were 6'4", 6'5". Okolie 6'5". None of them had the reach of 83 inches that Okolie has. I don't think none of them have come in the ring over 230, 225. Okolie obviously could hold a lot more weight on his body frame than they could. Now, the question is, 260 for his heavyweight debut, is it too high? A lot of people said, yes, it's too high, and I thought that at first. And then Billy Nelson said, no, it's fine for a guy his size. And when I think about it, his last fight was at 225. He's come up 2 stone more than his last fight. Even when he was at cruiser, he was probably walking around at 240, 230 or whatever, boiling himself down. He did look a bit heavy, but not any worse than a lot of heavies, in all truth. The six-pack's kind of faded, but, you know, he's still solid. He still looks solid, but the proof is in the pudding. We'll see tonight. Not that I expect his German opponent to give him much of a test. The first and only time the German stepped up against Koboski was stopped. But at least we get to see how he moves around the ring and gauge how fast he is at 260. There'll obviously be stiffer tests down the road if he gets through tonight. And I don't think he knows what his optimum weight will be at heavy. This is what in theory should be just a run out, with him and his new coach Joe Gallagher testing out the waters. New deal at Queensbury, new situation. Now, if Hussein, his opponent, could take him 4 or 5 rounds with that added bulk, then that could be interesting. I'm assuming Billy Nelson is saying that carrying all that weight is not really an issue because his heavyweight, Martin Okolie, is coming in at 280s, near on 300 for some fights, and it doesn't seem to be affecting him. But that's been a gradual progress that Okolie's been coming in that heavy. Early in his career, there's one fight where he's registered at 229. That was in South Africa, 2015, and then when he made his debut in Britain, he was around the 250, 248 mark. And then eventually he's just started coming in really big. So that was a gradual progression in weight increase for Okolie. But Okolie, it's literally overnight. I mean, his last cruiserweight fight was when? Last year, against Chris Billion Smith. So I guess we're talking about a year and a half that he hasn't had to weigh in at 200 or under. But we've only seen the one Bridgerweight fight since the Chris Billion Smith loss at cruiser. He's not one of them guys who's having to bulk up to be a heavyweight. He probably rehydrated for that Bridgerweight fight, 240, near 245. First time he was allowed to weigh in whatever he wants at heavyweight, he comes in at 260. I think it just took everyone by surprise. But tonight's the night. Tonight's the night.
But tonight's tonight, what I write tonight.
You know, in 2017, both Danny Dubois and Lawrence Okolie faced the same opponent, Blaise Mendoz, from the Cameroon. I believe he represented his country in the Olympics. Daniel blasted this guy out in 2, dropped him in the first round, and Daniel took him out in the second. But when Lawrence fought him a few months after, he managed to go the distance pretty comfortably, without really getting hurt badly or nothing. He came in around 200 pounds for the Okolie fight. Okolie was a fraction over. And he came in 222 for the Dubois fight. Dubois weighed in at 232. And I remember gauging the two performances, and what stood out was the difference in heavyweight power from cruiserweight power. As a general rule, heavyweights mature slower than the lower weight classes beneath. And it's often a learning process. You see, Daniel's had 2 phases in his career. Lawrence Okolie's 31 now, and him being a former Bridgerweight champion afforded him a number 5 ranking at heavyweight with the WBC. I don't think either he, Joe Gallagher, or Frank Warren are going to want to wait around. I think they're going to want to be in the mix fighting rival top 10 opponents next year. It's risky. It is risky. Look how much fights Jared Anderson has had at heavyweight, and he looked like a fish out of water against Okolie. Evander Holyfield, when he stepped up to heavyweight, he didn't have 1 fight and then fight for titles. He had 6 fights before he knocked out Buster Douglas, and that was over a 2-year period preparation. But then again, the advantage Okolie in theory has over Holyfield had to bulk up to be a heavyweight, and this was when heavyweights weren't as big as they are today. He hooked up with Tim Hallmark, I guess a strength and conditioner before it was even titled that at the time. Went on a special diet, special training regime. Okolie, it looks like he's just eating more, not really doing no special diet to become heavy. The heavyweight division is complex amongst other divisions because you're limited in your calorie intake in the other weight classes, because whether you want to say some people are weight bullies or they're bulking up to make weight in the other weight classes, there is a designated weight for you and your opponent to make. With heavyweight, a lot of times we see people come in too big, or after a so-so performance or a loss they say next time I'm going to come in bigger or I'm going to come in lighter. So it's hard to know what the optimum weight, the optimum preparation is at times. It's actually a skill to prepare heavyweights. It's a skill to prepare all fighters in all weight classes, but the heavyweight is a bit of a specialist division. Martin Okolie, when he lost to Michael Hunter in 2018, he was signed with the McGuigans, being trained by Shane, I believe, at the time. And Barry said, in the build-up to the fight, Martin, who I believe is a pescatarian, that's what McGuigan said, was starving himself on the day of the fight. For what reason, I don't know. Maybe that's how he was prepping for fights before he got with the McGuigans. He starved himself. McGuigan, he seemed to think it was a big mistake, and I bet Okolie doesn't do that anymore. Why would a heavyweight starve themselves? On the same bill, David Adeleye, he takes on Solomon Dacres, defending his English heavyweight title. Adeleye has 1 loss to Fabio Wardley. Solomon Dacres undefeated. The common opponent they have is Kamil Sokolowski. Dacres, he looked a lot better, outpointed Sokolowski. Not spectacular, but he got the job done. I think Adeleye lost to Sokolowski, and I'm not alone in that opinion. I was startled. I saw Okolie and Adeleye standing together, and Okolie was like considerably bigger, not just taller, but considerably bigger. I'm picking Solomon Dacres for the win. I think he's a better boxer than David Adeleye, and I'm not sure if David Adelaye's power is like they were advertising in his come-up fights over there at Queensbury and TNT. I don't think he's that good a boxer. I think Dacres, Team GB, has a little more pedigree. I think he'll outbox Adeleye. A lot of people are tipping Adeleye, I think, because he's got more of an aggressive personality, and Dacres is really laid back, passive almost, and I think that could be fooling people, but we'll see. It should be a good fight. I'm expecting the British 160-pound title to change hands from Brad Pauls and Denzel Bentley to pick it up. He's held it a few times already. Won't be easy. Brad Pauls is tough, he can punch hard. He's coming off a career best victory over Nathan Heaney, who outpointed Denzel Bentley, and he may be coming into the form of his career, but then again, Bentley, 2 early stoppages on the bounce since that Nathan Heaney lost. Looks like he's back to his best. If he can stop Brad Pauls, I'll be impressed. Denzel does have the better jab. I don't see Brad Pauls testing Denzel on boxing behind that jab. Denzel's got a very good straight right, very, very good, and I think Paul will be a sitting target for it. Paul should put up a spirited battle, and if Denzel fancies a fight and leaves his chin hanging out there, that will be Brad Paul's opportunity to pull off what will be a big upset. It's a very good matchup. I think somebody asked me to cover Manuel CHARR and PULEV. I think PULEV will win the fight, but I ain't got no big breakdown for that one. I think NAVARETTE will repeat his 2023 victory over Oscar Valdez and retain his WBO World Super Featherweight title in California, top rank card. And then we go over to Puerto Rico. I don't think Richardson Hitchins hits hard enough, and I don't think he's able to impose himself as he would like on the elite 140 pounders. I don't think he beats Liam Paro. He will make it difficult for Liam Paro. But can he build off that jab? Like when he fought Cepeda, he had the fight under control, and then post-fight he said, I didn't want to go in there and take any chances because I could feel he still had power, although I didn't see him get hit. And if you're not going to take no chances against someone who's barely throwing any punches, despite him sounding very confident at the weigh-in at the press conference, he'll have to convince me he's about that life. At one stage I thought this kid could go on and do big things, and this is his first title shot. You never know. You never know. Paro, I believe he fights more effectively on the inside, and his quick feet should help him negate that telescopic jab better than others have done against Hitchins. Post-fight Lemos, Richardson complained about the rehydration clause, that he couldn't eat and it affected his performance. Well, it's the same thing now. He's got a title fight with the IBF. He would have had to go through the rehydration clause today. I'm not convinced he ain't drained anyway. You know what I mean? I might have picked him to squeeze out a decision if it wasn't for the scales. I might have picked him. But Paro, he should bring the aggression. I think he'll target the body and has the foot speed to get in and out with the counters. Should be a good fight.